Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games. Here we have Jason on Burn, leading out with that turn 1 Goblin Guide. Really the strongest opening for the deck. The card advantage in an ideal world will not have a chance to matter due to the speed of Burn, often getting your opponent out of there on turn 3, maybe turn 4. It is a very consistent deck, and while it doesn't have the most options in terms of styles of play, it does punish decks that fumble. So we've got a Goblin Welder on the other side, dwarfed by his 2/2 cousin. Definitely no match in combat, though he may end up chump blocking. The real danger there is bringing back key combo pieces from the graveyard. And Sean taking some damage. We've got a suspended Rift Bolt. And there's Grindstone and Painter Servant. So, oh, thank you, Sean. That actually very clearly denotes the color being named with Painter Servant. I like that a lot. Blue it is. Rift Bolt taking out nothing as it gets Pyroblasted. Rift Bolt, a blue spell, thanks to Painter Servant. And this is pretty grim. It is likely that... yeah, that is not going to do. That's the new Zendikar Rising Roiling Vortex, I think the name of it is. You let me know if I'm wrong on the name. That is going to prevent free spells from having an impact on the game, but I mean, this is just going to be a one-shot kill as Painter Servant and Grindstone work together. There's a Goblin Welder to potentially complicate things if Jason did have any type of response. Would not really be likely to succeed thanks to the Goblin Welder. And now Grindstone being activated, so Jason is going to flip cards off the top of his library, 2 at a time. And if the 2 cards match in color, then you do it again. So since they're all blue, thanks to Painter Servant, that is literally going to mill out the entire deck. And it's what the deck Sean is calling Strawberry Shortcake is all about. Usually called Painter. Imperial Painter would be a build using Imperial Recruiter to go get either Goblin Welder, Goblin Guide, or Goblin Engineer, or, of course, the Painter Servant. And this is going to be a tough matchup for Burn. This is a tough one. Now, there are some cards that can really help and play a role in terms of Smash to Smithereens, something I usually start off as a 4 of when I'm building Burn. Smash is incredibly good at addressing some of the key problems that Burn can face, be it killing Batter Skulls or going after some of the faster combo decks that may rely on artifacts. Can also get rid of Aether Vials, Baleful Strixes. I mean, there's a lot of utility in the card Smash to Smithereens. And the problem with Burn is when people play it as a control deck, you don't have a draw engine. Usually, if you're going to play a control deck, there's no surprise that people are playing playsets of Brainstorms and Ponders and things that allow you to manipulate your library to have the proper answers at the right time. Burn, lacking that, generally will kind of end up complaining about drawing too many lands over the course of a long game. They're not able to filter their draws to get the optimal mix of removal or creatures or lands that they might need. So it really is better suited toward keeping a solid opening hand and riding that to victory with very precise play. Eidolon of the Great Revels. A slower hand here for Jason. Will this Eidolon pull its weight over the course of a long game, or will Sean just sprint right past it? He does not need to play... I mean, technically, he doesn't need to play any more spells to win the game. He could, in theory, discard a Painter Servant due to maximum hand size and then activate Grindstone and weld in the Painter Servant for the win. So, I mean, Eidolon is not precisely poised to be just devastating compared to many other combo decks. Here, Karn actually going above that 3 casting cost limit, meaning Sean's going to be able to likely grab a key combo piece. Let's see what he opts for. Goblin Welder, really fun Magic card. I'm glad it's seeing some play in Legacy. Oh, going with Mycosynth Lattice. Interesting. So he is going to try and lock Jason out, despite not having the board presence. Bolting to the face, and now Price of Progress. Getting in 5 and now another 2 damage. And it seems like Jason must just have a ton. Oh, he killed the Karn. Okay, that makes sense. So killing the Karn and pushing through some damage. Goblin Engineer. More damage coming through thanks to Eidolon. But bad news in that it's getting Painter Servant ready to go, and multiple ways of bringing it back from the graveyard now. Oh, and I looked away for a second. I didn't catch how Sean had the mana. But we've got a Fire Blast taking out Painter Servant after it's been exchanged for the Grindstone, leaving Sean with 0 artifacts. And that is a devastating line, as Fire Blast, not typically thought of as a card that interacts with creatures. Usually you're just finishing off a player with 4 damage, making maximum use of your mana base. Instead, Sean is now left with 0 artifacts, and Jason may have stolen this game, going from certain death to now being in pretty good shape. And we're in chump blocking time. Chain Lightning takes out the Goblin Welder, leaving Sean with no resources except his mana base. Aethersworn Canonist will be happy to trade with Eidolon should Jason decide to swing. Sean's life total dwindling. Canonist, one of those tricky hate cards that when combo decks can run can really be surprising. This card shuts off a lot of the shenanigans that can happen in the format, but it doesn't really do much to stop the Painter deck at all. I mean, you can play as many artifacts in a turn as you like with that on board. It just so happens that the things you actually want to be doing are artifacts in this deck. And we've got floating 2 mana and Fire Blast, and now Wheel of Misfortune. Jason's about to reload here. That is a fun new card from Commander Legends, and I'd imagine Sean just reading it to find out exactly how bad the situation is for him. It is not good. Fun little game theory card. So Sean can't quite make out his life total. Very likely that he has to pick 0. He can't actually win a bidding war if there were one. But I mean, this is just picking one number. So, I mean, he can pick up to 1 minus his life total. He does pick the 3. And Jason likely picked 4. Karn. And Jason with a full grip here has a Lava Spike to start out, and that will do it. So Wheel of Misfortune, I think the first time on camera. I don't believe we've seen that one yet. It is a card that people were really excited about for Commander, just given the variety of ways that can play out and the little sub-game that you get to play when it's played. Much like True Name Nemesis, when you're playing in a 2-player game, the dynamic becomes very different and a little bit more zero-sum. So for Burn players, this is kind of a draw 7. All right, skipping over the mulling, Sean's going to lead out with a Plateau and passing the turn. Jason's got a Suspended Rift Bolt. Definitely among the weakest possible openings that Burn could keep. Suspending Rift Bolt, not exactly ideal. Smuggler Copter card could lure Jason into playing a little bit more of a control role, killing the creatures that Sean may have, possibly preventing crewing, and a good old-fashioned Lightning Bolt, giving Burn a taste of its own medicine. Aethersworn Canonist, and now crewing this Smuggler Copter as the beatings commence and the looting starts as well. Tough to say which one of those will be more important. Probably the looting. But if Jason's life total does get low enough, it is possible Sean could finish the game that way. Just not super likely. A Lava Spike to the face. Oof, and this is not looking very good for Burn. He may have a Price of Progress during the end step, but not having creatures on board is going to make this difficult with the Canonist. If you're rooting for Burn here, you're hoping for either a Price of Progress or a Smash to Smithereens. And there is an end step Price of Progress. Don't have to be too careful with that, as even though Sean can play a land without passing priority, the sacrifice on City of Traders would give Jason a chance to respond with Price of Progress. Now, with this board state, Sean is within range of getting Mycosynth Lattice out, which is very dangerous. That card, I mean, it's a lock with Karn. A lot of people, the first times that they play against it, will imagine that they may have some type of outs. I remember the first time I tried casting Force of Vigor after the Karn Mycosynth Lattice lock was established. And it just so happens that Mycosynth Lattice makes all the cards colorless as well, which is a bit of a non-bow. I wonder if that's ever come up in the Painter matchup. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to reread them. I think it would go to timestamps there, as Mycosynth Lattice and Painter Servant would both establish making them. One would make it colorless, and one would change it to the color of your choice. So I think it would actually come down to timestamp. Monastery Swift Spear, adding to Jason's board presence, but Sean actually now has Goblin Crater Maker as well. Karn ticking up. Crewing the Smuggler's Copter. And the prospect of life totals mattering here becoming very real. Not typically how Imperial Painter is going to win. That Karn, just massive loyalty at this point. Both of these guys turning sideways. What does Sean do with it? Starting out, Goblin Crater Maker. And we've got a Fire Blast. Enlightened Tutor in response. And it looks like that's actually going to do it. The lethal damage. I believe that was lethal damage. So hopefully that's not right. I'm not wrong on that. That looks like the Fire Blast plus the Eidolon trigger for the Enlightened Tutor is going to go ahead and be lethal. And Burn takes one down, I believe, versus Imperial Painter. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.